All right, so today we're going to be talking about something really exciting. I think this is the best project yet. We're going to be building a landing page for a restaurant. The finished product looks something like this. So we've created Jimmy's Italian Restaurant. We have our little logo here, and each link on the navigation bar takes us to a different section of the page. We pretty much just have these four sections here. We have the home with our video in the background, and our call to action here to make a reservation. And if we scroll down, we see we have our menu section here. We have an events section here. And then we have our reservation and map area. So if we scroll back up, we can see each one of these takes us to a different spot on the page. We have these functional links here. And another bonus is this is also responsive. So if we slim our page down a little bit here, we'll see that everything still works. Our menu is still functional. The events page here is still perfectly readable. So you're able to view this on phones, tablets, computers, whatever. It's the ideal mobile-friendly responsive site using just HTML and CSS. We use no JavaScript at all in this project. So let's get to it, shall we? All right, so to start off, we have a few files here. We have our index HTML, we have our style CSS, and then we just have a few images here. This is the logo for the navigation bar. The MP4, pizza.mp4 is pretty much just a 5-second clip of a guy pouring some cheese on a pizza. We have our icon, and we have some bricks for the background, which you're barely going to be able to see. We're going to darken those quite a bit. And then we have, let's see, that's about it actually for the images. The other images that are here are actually on the events page here. These images are actually just up on Unsplash. Just some free pictures I got from Unsplash, so they're not directly embedded here. They're actually just links out to those images. So let's start building our index.html file here. We're going to start with the doc type declaration, HTML tag, and we'll build our head here. Give it a title of restaurant, and let's see, I will simply copy and paste in the links to the Google fonts here. So forgive me for the quick copy and paste, but these are just going to be for our Google fonts, so very important to have those. There is this one Google font that I like. It is this very Italian looking cursive here, so got to import that. So once we have those links in, we will make a few more links here to our icon. So that'll be for our icon file there. Then we'll create a link to our style sheet. And then we'll create some meta tags here. And the first one is to set the encoding type, which is just going to be the standard UTF-8. And that will be the meta description of our page there. And we'll create our author, meta author tag here, which is yours truly, Tyler von Hars. And we'll close that up. And then we'll set our viewport width here. And that is it for the head. So we can go ahead and close that up. And then next, we're going to create the main content of our page, starting with the body. So the first thing we're going to create is the nav bar. So we'll create a unordered list and give it a class of nav bar. And inside this list, we'll put some list items, the first of which is going to be a link in the form of that pizza logo picture. So we'll say a href ID home, because this is just going to be going pretty much nowhere, just to the first page. And then inside the link, put an image. All right, and that will be our pizza logo.png. So there we go, shows up. And then for the next list item, it only gets more exciting. We're going to go to our menu section. So we'll target the ID menu. And we'll say, let's see, we'll put put this right here. We'll write menu in the link. We want to put this in the link. And there we go. And we'll make yet another link. And this one will go to events. And then yet another link. This one will go to, oops, the reservations ID. And after that, we're pretty much done with our unordered list. So let's go ahead and save that. And we'll have a gander what this looks like now. So as you can see, we just pretty much see our Genies logo, nothing else there. So we're going to need to add some CSS. So let's do that real quick. So I like to start off with a little CSS reset here. And make sure to comment, because reading my own code later is nearly impossible if I don't comment. So just so I, know what I've done pretty much. Anyway, we're gonna set a few properties here. Margin padding, both 0, and we're gonna set box sizing to border box. And that'll be it for our CSS reset. And we'll just target the body here and select the font family. Just going to use Arial. And we'll set the line height as well. 1.5 should do it. And then we'll style the unordered list here. So we'll give it a list style type of none, because we don't want any styling. And we'll give it a margin and padding of 0, just to be sure. Hide the overflow. We'll set the background to transparent. The display, we're going to set it flex so we can use the space around, the justify space around property. So we're going to say justify space around, which is great if you only have a few links. It makes your navigation bar appear mostly responsive. And it doesn't quite work if you've got a lot of links, because it gives you an even space around everything. And I'm just going to set a Z index here just to make sure that this navigation bar always stays on the top. So we'll set it to 100, see if that causes any problems later. And we'll just set the width to 100%. And from here, let's see, I also want to target this image and give it a class. We'll give it a class of active. This way I can just select that and make it a little smaller. So we'll target that active class, and we'll just say height 65 pixels. That should be a reasonable enough height. And then we'll style our links a little bit. So we'll target the list item and A. We'll say A, and we'll give it a display block style here. And you'll see why in a second. Align these center. Let's see, let's give a little space between each one here. Text align center. We'll give it a little padding. Let's see, just a little bit. Let's see, 14, 16 pixels. Should do it good. Text decoration none, so we don't have underlined links. And we'll make the font size a little bit bigger. Let's see, 1.7 EM, so that's pretty much 1.7 times the current font size. And we'll just see what that looks like. There we go. So we can't quite see much because we don't have a background there. So let's fix that. But you can see our nav bar is there. So let's go back into our index.html file here, and we'll start working on the first section, or the second section if the nav bar is our first section. But anyway, the first section that's going to be in a section element, section tag. So we'll say section, this will be for the video. So we'll give it a class of showcase, and we'll need a container for the video. So we'll say div class video container. And then we'll just put our video right in here. Video source is going to be pizza.mp4. There we go. There it is. And we'll give it a few attributes. We want this to autoplay, of course. And we don't want to hear anything. I think it's a mute video anyway, but just to be sure, autoplay muted, and we want it to loop. So we don't want it to ever stop. Let the pizza never stop. So anyway, there's our video. That's all we need for the video. The video container div is automatically closed. The section tag is automatically closed. So after that, we're going to stay in this section tag because we need some text over that video. So what text do we need? We're going to need an H1 and a paragraph and a link as well. So let's put this all in another div. Give it a class of content. We'll say H1. Give that a class of title. What is the title going to be? Jimmy's Italian Restaurant. So there we go. Oh, we don't need two of these quotes. Don't need two of those. We're going to put our subheading here. So we'll say P class. Let's just call it subheading. Let's be real creative here. And for the subheading, we'll say, what do we have to say about this pizza? It is aggressive. So we'll say the pizza is aggressive. And then we'll make our link here. And this link, you'll see in a minute, is going to appear mostly like a button. It's going to look like a button. So we'll style this link to look like a button. We're going to target the reservations ID, which once we're done, that'll bring us to the bottom of the page. And we'll give it a class of, we'll just say BTN, because we're going to style this to look like a button. And for the text, we'll say make a reservation. And there we go. So that's pretty much it for that div. That's it for that whole section, actually. So the next section is going to be our menu. So we'll start making this right away here. An ID of menu. And within this, we're gonna put a few things. So I'm gonna make a nice little 2-column layout on desktop, single column on mobile. So we'll see how we do that in a second. Let's style the video for right now, because it is probably not too good looking, as you can see. The text is underneath the video. Video doesn't take up the whole page. So we want to fix that. So let's jump over to our CSS here. And let's see, let's finish styling up that nav bar actually now that we can see it. We're gonna just set a few quick properties. List item A, hover. We want the links to be red on hover, so we're gonna say color red, like tomato sauce. Let's see, make sure to set the text decoration to none. I believe I actually already did that, so we won't need that. And what else are we going to need here? I think that's about it for our nav bar, actually. So we're just going to start styling our H1 here, H1 tag. And for that, we're going to say font weight. Let's make it 300. Let's make it nice and heavy here. Font size. What do we want for the font size? Maybe 60 pixels. Should be nice and big. We'll set a line height. Only slightly higher, 1.2. We'll give it a little margin on the bottom so everything isn't running into each other. And this is where we want that nice cursive Google font. I believe it's called Matty, MS Matty. MS, let's see, MS Matty. Cursive. Alrighty. And then for the H2, we'll style that here as well. We'll make that white. And we'll give it a little text shadow. I personally love text shadows. Really makes the text pop, especially if you have a dark background. Setting a light text shadow will make it kind of stand out. So we definitely want our text to stand out a bit from that pizza that's going on in the background. Now we'll target the title class. We'll give that a text shadow as well. We're just going to make them all the same thing here. 1 pix, 5. So we'll set the vertical, we'll set the offset, and then we'll set the blur. Set the blur to 33. And let's see, that should be good for the text. Let's style the video section here. So what was that called? That was video container. So we'll make the position absolute. And let's see, we want it to be 100% of the width and 100% height, the height of the parent container. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to have to set the parent container first, actually. So let's do that. We'll say, let's see, showcase. Showcase is going to be the parent container here. So we'll set that to 100 view height. So that'll make the whole video area take up whatever the screen's height is at the time. And we'll set the display to flex. We'll align items center. So this is the vertical alignment. Let's see, how do you spell align? Without the H, that's right. Silly me. And once we have this, we're going to justify center as well. This is the horizontal alignment, so we want that to also be centered. And just for good measure, we'll give it a text align property of center as well. We'll make sure it's white. And we'll give it a little bit of padding. We don't need any on the left, but we do need 20 pixels. I believe that should be the top and bottom. So let's see. Let's see what that did for us here. All right, everything is centered, looking good. And so we can't see our H1, H2, or our P tags here because they're behind the pizza. So let's go ahead and fix that. And for that, we're going to say, we'll go back to our video container here. And we'll say, let's see, left, 0, width. We want the width to be 100%. So we'll say width 100%. Height, if we make it 100%, it should take 100% of the parent container here, which is the total height of the screen. And we'll make sure the overflow is hidden. And then we want to style the video itself. So we're going to come back to the video container, video, and we'll say minimum width of 100%, minimum height of 100% as well, because we don't want it to take up any less. That would look weird. Make sure the position is absolute. And let's see what that gives us so far. I see what's going on here. So we're going to need to position this with the transform property. Actually, I think that should work. So to do that, we'll start by saying top 50%, left 50%. That should move it over here. And then we're going to use the transform property to kind of slide this into place. So we'll say negative 50% and negative 50%. And then we're going to make sure that this covers the whole container. So object fit cover should fix us right up. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. So position is perfect for the video. We just have to get the text in front of it and darken it up a little bit because it is a little overpowering here. So what are we going to do for that? Well, we're gonna make a pseudo element, and we're just going to target that. So video container after. So that'll give us this nice little pseudo element here. And we'll set the content to blank. Very important. You'll see why in just a minute. We'll give it a z-index of 1. So it's on top, but as you'll notice, it's less than the what I set the navigation bar to be. We want this to take up the same height and width as the video container element. We want it to be at the same position, top 0, left 0. And here is where we can darken it up. So we'll set the background using an RGBA, and we'll say 0, 0, 0. But we do want a little darker, so for our alpha, we'll set it to 0.3. And then don't forget to position absolute so it doesn't move independently of the video element there. And let's see how that looks. There we go. So we have it a little bit darker there. Gives a little darker vibe, but the content is still behind it. So we're going to have to fix that up here. I'm just going to say, it should be a quick and dirty fix, content z index 2. And there we go. Our content is now front and center. Perfect. So that's all we really need to style for content. Let's make that reservation button look nice, because that looks kind of silly right now. So for this, we're going to say display inline block. And we're going to give it a little padding. 10 pixels top and bottom, 30 pixels left and right. For the background color, I just like tomato. Tomato should, there we go, tomato. The old VS Code suggestion there. Goes very good with the pizza theme. Let's fix that typo there. And let's see, so we have our background color as tomato, and we want the text to be white. So make the text white there. And don't remember typing flex, but we'll fix that. So we have our text as white. And let's see, then I think we'll give it a border radius here. Nothing major, just a little 5 pixels. And a tiny little border as well. Solid white border. And real tiny, only 1 pick. 1 pick there. So we have our border. And we'll give it a little margin top, so it's a little bit further away from the H1 and P tags there. Just a little 25 pixels should do it. And then we'll set a hover property here. Button hover. So when we hover over it, we want the background color to get a little bit transparent. We want the cursor to show as a pointer. And I think I want it to be a little bit smaller. So let's do that first. Transform the scale to 0.98. So it gets a teeny bit smaller there. We'll set the background color. We'll use RGBA because I want it to be a little transparency in there. So we'll set it to 255 for red, 0, 0, and then we'll set the alpha to 0.3 here. So that should give us a little transparency. We'll set the cursor to be a pointer. And then transition is important to use so your hover doesn't suddenly change. So I can probably show you what I mean here. Let's see what that looks like so far. There we go. So as you can see when we hover, it's a little sudden. So let's just set a little transition there. About 0.3 seconds. And we can't forget to put that on our main button as well. Otherwise the transition away from it will be sudden. So we have 2 there. And let's see, I think I just need to set the just all A tags in general on the page to have a text decoration of none, not just the one in the list item. So let's do that up here. Text decoration, none. There we go. So that should fix up the text in the button as well. We don't want that to be underlined. That's just ugly. So there we go. We have our button. We have our video section. All of that is done. Now how about the menu? So before we go any further, I'm going to cut you off right there because that's about all the time I have for today. But tune in. The next video will be coming out very shortly where I go into a lot of detail on creating the menu section as well as the rest of this restaurant landing page. If you enjoyed, please leave a comment if you have any questions, and if you subscribe, that would really help me out a lot. And stay tuned for more videos.